For just the first time since May 15th and just the 7th time in 26 tries, the Los Angeles Angels have won a baseball game at home thanks to Taylor Ward. We will discuss the miracle win against the Yankees on tonight's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yes, that's right. Just as that intro told you, this is the Locked On Angels Postcast coming at you live from the Locked On Los Angeles YouTube channel. Looked a little different because I decided to hit you with the cold open before we hit you with the intro video, because why not? The Angels decided to change things up and win a baseball game at home. That's right, in the series opener against the Yankees. Maybe we just needed that Memorial Day off on Monday. The Yankees come to town with that first place record in the entire American League, and somehow, some way, the Angels pick up a 4-3 win. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked On Angels Postcast. As always, I'm your host, Gavin Carlson. It's my 4th year as a credentialed journalist in Los Angeles. My first as the Postcast host, and I don't want to waste any time tonight. The Angels won a baseball game. I want to jump right to it. Shout out to anybody who's watching live. Shout out to anybody who's watching after the fact on the Locked On Los Angeles YouTube channel or listening wherever you get your podcasts on the Locked On Angels podcast feed. Quickly, I'm going to get through tonight's sponsor because I want to talk about this game. Tonight's show is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code in all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Let's jump right into this one. On tonight's show, we will discuss that magical 8th inning thanks to Taylor Ward and company. We will discuss a really good pitching performance from start to finish, and we will close it out, as always, as most times, with Ron's report card, as well as a quick check-in on my Prize Pick slip, because that didn't do too well, but I don't care, because the Angels did do well tonight. We're going to jump right to that 8th inning, because I'll be honest, this game at times was kind of not a sleepy one. It was obviously a pitching duel for the most part. A really good start from Griffin Canning. I know we're excited about that. A pretty solid start from Nestor Cortez as well, which we are not as excited about. But we jump to the 8th inning because, of course, that's when, despite a pedestrian offensive outing that really only featured one big hit from Kevin Pillar with that 2-run home run in the first, outside of that, Angels offense did nothing until the bottom of the 8th. But thank goodness for that bottom of the 8th inning, because this team, they just needed a win, however they could get it. Maybe the performance wasn't great from the lineup, but who cares? Obviously, the Yankees are a great team, and obviously the Angels are not, especially at home. So coming in, it was just, if you could get a win, however possible, just make it happen. Just make it happen. And surely enough, the Angels do make it happen. I don't know why they took out Cortez so early, the Yankees, that is. It didn't really make sense to me. Tommy Kahnle pitched pretty solid. Luke Weaver, for the most part, pitched pretty solid. But in the bottom of the 8th inning, thanks to Willie Calhoun, and we'll get to Ron's report card later, because the decision to take out Cole Tucker, and thank goodness, because I'll be honest, I don't want to watch Cole Tucker hit very often anymore. But Cole Tucker comes out, Willie Calhoun leads off the bottom of the 8th with a line drive single, and though Guillorme lines out, and though Shanuel strikes out, and though there's 2 outs and just 1 runner on, and you're thinking we're on the way to another brutal, close loss at home for the Angels, a little bit of luck. Originally called a hit, but eventually a fielding error is the scoring on that Rengifo ground ball to Anthony Rizzo. We will take it. Moniak gets to second, and with first and second, with 2 outs, Clay Holmes comes in for Luke Weaver, and Taylor Ward wastes no time. On the first pitch, he gets a sinker that wasn't even in the strike zone, but he rips it 106.6 off the bat, and it is a 2-out, 2-run, 2-bagger for Taylor Ward. It's funny because coming into this one, I was down on Ward, at least against Cortez. In my prize pick slip, I actually had Ward to strike out, and that did happen because coming into tonight, just 1 of 9 against 1 of 8 in 9 at-bats against Cortez, including 3 strikeouts. I was right about the strikeout, but I was not expecting Cortez to come out so early. And of course, in the 8th, Ward gets it done. Shout out to Taylor Ward. In what was a bit of a veteran, breakout between Ward. Obviously, you expected more from him than the other guy I'm going to mention in Kevin Pillar. But the veterans, we keep wondering, is it time to just send all the veterans out, trade them all at the deadline? It still probably is. Let's not act like the Angels are doing anything crazy this season. Maybe this is all just a secret ploy to up that trade value on some of these veterans. It'd be a miracle if you got anything for a guy like Kevin Pillar. But thanks to Ward in the 8th and thanks to Kevin Pillar in the bottom of the 1st, who, let's jump to that first inning real quick. We had a Rengifo single. He continues to be pretty hot, at least at the plate, not base running. And we'll get to that in a second because he continues to stink it up running the bases. But Rengifo in the first gets a 1-out single. And then after Taylor Ward strikes out, like I mentioned, to have my prize pick slip momentarily look good, Rengifo gets the second on a balk, and then Kevin Pillar hits that 2-run home run in the first inning. The Angels continue to play pretty well early in games at home in this 4-game now homestand so far, even though they lost the first 3 to the Guardians, even though they got swept. Other than the series opener, the last 2 games were close, and in the first couple of innings, the hitting's been solid. I think, maybe in the game where they only had 7 combined runs all in the 3rd inning, obviously no runs in the 1st inning there, but Shanuel or Rengifo has been getting a hit in the 1st inning of just about every game, and in tonight's game, it continues with Rengifo staying hot, gets that single, and of course it leads to a Pillar home run. Kevin Pillar, I think they said he's been on base in 10 of his last 12. He continues to, out of nowhere, let's be honest, bring some veteran leadership to the outfield. I know there's a lot of debates about the outfield and whether or not Pillar playing well, and of course Taylor Ward's not getting taken out of the lineup anytime soon. But is Pillar playing well mean less at-bats and, lower in the order for Joe Adell? Who cares right now? Just be happy. The Angels won a game, thanks in large part to Kevin Pillar and that 2-run home run. Just to revisit that, after a leadoff or a first pitch ball, he gets a sweeping curve kind of in the heart of the plate, a little bit inside, and he hits it just 368, but we'll take it, 96 exit velo, and that put the Angels up 2-1 after a first inning home run from Juan Soto. We'll get to the entire pitching performance later in this one because certainly I'm very pleased. I think you have to be pleased with the Angels' ability to pitch well in tonight's game in the 4-3 win. We'll talk about Matt Moore being very solid. We'll talk about, Griffin Canning, obviously, with a solid start. But shout out to Daniel, as always, checking in. Happy Tuesday, a much more happy Tuesday, thanks to a rare Angels win. But yes, like I said, later in the show, we will talk about that pitching performance because Griffin Canning was great, and the bullpen for the Angels, believe it or not, somehow was great. Miracles do exist. Veterans can come up clutch for the Angels every once in a while. I'm changing the title because I realized I had it at 5-4. It was a 4-3 win for the Angels. But like I said, the veterans come up clutch in what was an otherwise very shaky performance from the lineup. Let's be honest. 9 hits is the final tally, but I think half of those came in that 8th inning. And Nestor Cortez didn't really ever look stressed. I'm going to talk later about the cockiness of the Yankees because we saw all the fans in the game. We saw that it was basically a Yankees home game. We know it's been a home field disadvantage for the Angels so far in 2024 in terms of the results, but today it was a disadvantage in terms of the fan ratio because it was honestly probably more Yankees than Angels in most parts of the park tonight. But cockiness from the entire Yankees team, and for somewhat good reason, coming in at 37-18 compared to that Angels 20-33 coming in, and knowing how hot the Yankees have been and knowing how bad the Angels have been at home. But Nestor Cortez did not look like he was struggling mentally, physically at all. Sure, he gave up that early home run, but he really settled in after that. And even when they took him out, they're panning to him in the dugout, smiling, laughing, as if it's no worries he got taken out because, hey, our bullpen will lock things down. This team stinks. So how about that? Take that. I don't think anybody expected it. Certainly the Yankees didn't expect it. Certainly most Angels fans didn't expect it. Certainly I didn't expect it. But somehow, some way, the Angels pick up a 4-3 win, thanks once again to just two big two-run innings. A bottom of the first two-run shot from Kevin Pillar and a 2 RBI double from Taylor Ward. Nick King says Tuesday W. That's right. A Tuesday W indeed. And hey, maybe I'm acting like this is game one of the World Series, but I don't really care. I think Angels fans all do not care how it happens, in which way, if it was pretty, if it was lucky, if it doesn't even mean anything in the long run. The moral of the story is the Angels have not gotten to celebrate many wins, especially at home. So I feel good I'm happy for the people that were in the park tonight that they finally got to see a win, and we all should be happy for that. We're going to take our first quick break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Thanks so much to everybody who's in here. Make sure to leave comments. As Nick says right there, Tuesday W. Let's celebrate it together live on the Locked On Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, today's show is brought to you by LinkedIn. I've already talked about LinkedIn many times on this show, and the LinkedIn recruiting platform I'm a big fan of. I used it in a former job as a senior in college. I certainly use LinkedIn in general to look for jobs, but I have a question for you. Are you struggling to close deals? Because B2B selling is tougher than ever, and that's why I want to tell you about the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Now, LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a sales intelligence platform, that's right, a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and engage high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. Sales Navigator helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals such as job changes or which accounts you should prioritize, and shows you hidden allies so you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. Fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform, Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date first-party data, enabling you to unlock conversations with the people that matter. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. That is linkedin.com/lockedon for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/lockedon and get started. Just one ad read there because it's an Angels win. That's not the reason, but hey, let's get right back to the action and celebrate a 4-3 series opening win, the first home win since May 15th, just almost 2 weeks ago. Just the 7th home win in 26 tries. The Angels move to a amazing 7-19 at home. Let's kid around a little bit there, but hey, we'll take it. A miracle. Miracles do exist. The Angels win at home 4-3. Thanks to a Taylor Ward 2-run double in the 8th inning. Once again, you're listening to Locked On Angels Postcast. I'm Gavin Carlson. Shout out to everybody in here. Leave those comments. Daniel says, great win, and great win indeed. We already talked about the hitting. Two 2-run hits, whether it's the 2-run shot from Pillar or the 2-run double from Taylor Ward. But let's talk about the pitching in this one, because we all knew coming into this one, the Yankees were red hot. The Bronx Bombers, they had lead every category that matters in terms of hitting home runs and slugging and RBIs and all these stats about hitting fastballs super well. Juan Soto, the best player in baseball against fastballs. Aaron Judge right there too. We know Giancarlo Stanton knows how to hit a home run. And yet in this one, not much from the Yankees offense. And that's despite things looking really bad early, because it took just 2 at-bats for the Yankees to get on the board, thanks to a Juan Soto big fly off of Griffin Canning, who ended up having a pretty darn good start. But it started off rough in the first inning, like I said, with Juan Soto having a solid at-bat, going up 3-0. And then, I don't want to be, too critical of Griffin Canning today, but this at-bat didn't make a lot of sense. You fall behind 3-0, which is tough, and credit to him for getting back into it with 2 strikes on 2 fastballs. But we all know you're an off-speed pitcher. I'm not going to dive too deeply into the baseball savant stats for Griffin Canning today because it's an Angels win. Let's just celebrate. But no secret, he's an off-speed killer. 96th percentile in terms of success with the off-speed pitch. Just 11th percentile in terms of fastballs. So I don't think it surprises anyone saying that Griffin Canning gets it done with the off-speed pitch. And yet, despite, getting back in the count with 2 fastballs, I think, at least I was hoping, don't throw a fastball here. Don't throw a fastball here. You got Soto down or back in the count 3-2 off of 2 fastballs, but now he's caught up to it. And surely enough, Canning tries to sneak in a 3rd straight fastball, and, 3 times too many, because Soto absolutely unloads on the baseball. It was high, maybe a little bit inside, Tim Salmon on the broadcast saying, oh, not a horrible pitch. I agree, but when you throw 2 against a fastball hitter like Juan Soto, good luck. And Soto hits it 113 miles an hour off the bat, 424 feet into right field down that line. It never looked like it was going foul. It looked like it was going gone right away. And certainly it did. And instantly that Yankees crowd that I talked about that was almost outnumbering that Angels crowd lets out a big roar thinking, here comes the beginning of just a expected Yankee blowout victory against a struggling Angels team. And then it kept going, it looked like, because Aaron Judge immediately singles on the next pitch, I think. That's right, on the next pitch. Guess what? Canning throws another fastball, and Judge hits a single, and you're thinking, oh gosh, here we go. You strike out Verdugo, but then Stanton singles, and luckily Anthony Rizzo continues to not be as good as those other guys, and he grounds out to end the inning. But other than that challenging first, Canning was solid. The only other runs coming in the 4th and 5th inning, the final line for Griffin Canning in this one was pretty solid. 5 innings, the 9 hits does not look great, but the 3 runs given the 9 hits is pretty okay. 2 walks, probably a walk too many. You'd like to see that at just around 1. 2's okay. 5 Ks, you don't care about that. He does give up the home run, as I said, and technically the ERA will not be helped because of this outing. But given the circumstances, I'm okay with his performance. The real story, though, was not the starting pitching. It was the bullpen. Because not only do miracles exist on the final stat line with the win, but miracles exist a flawless performance from the Angels bullpen. Who would have thought? Now, when Hunter Strickland comes out in the 6th inning, I'm feeling good because Strickland has been good. And now his ERA drops to 1.96 thanks to a perfect 1-2-3 6th inning, including a strikeout. Hunter Strickland has been money, so I'm not surprised that he got through the inning, even against the Yankees lineup. What I am surprised about is that Ron Washington decides to take him out after 1 inning. We'll get to Ron's report card after this, because that's probably the only negative. Why the heck is Hunter Strickland coming out after 1 flawless inning? I mean, was there a pitch count limit? I mean, why? Why in the world? Doesn't really make sense. But we'll take it, that inning, of course. And luckily, despite him coming out and despite me thinking, oh, Ron's fighting with fire here, trying to have multiple Angels bullpen pitchers play well tonight, it does happen. Because then Garcia comes out in the 7th, and he goes 1-2-3 with a strikeout. Matt Moore comes out in the 8th, and he goes 1-2-3 with a strikeout. And then Estevez comes out, and he goes 1-2-3. What in the world? What? Am I reading the right recap of the game? Did I watch the right game? The Angels bullpen, the Angels veterans in the bullpen that have been killing this team. Even in the wins, Estevez has been really, really bad. Miracles exist. I think let me add that correctly, is that how many consecutive outs? How many consecutive outs? The last Yankee base runner, in the 5th inning, is that correct? 3 outs in the 6th, 3 outs in the 7th, 3 in the 8th, 3 in the 9th. That's right. 12 consecutive outs. Bullpen A++. I don't know if you can hear the clapping on the mic. A++ for the bullpen tonight. Unbelievable. Shocking. Did not have that on any of my bingo cards. As Oscar correctly says, well, first off, he says, doing great, Gavin. Shout out, Oscar. Appreciate that. But that bullpen was indeed great tonight. Go Angels. Shout out to you, Oscar. Appreciate the kind words. And I think the Angels bullpen certainly deserves the kind words because probably the performance of the season for them. I agree here. Him saying, close my eyes while Estevez was pitching, though. I totally agree. I think the Angels, the radio announcers go, and in the 9th, here comes out Carlos Estevez. And you just go, oh, geez. You're so happy with how things are going, thanks to Taylor Ward in the bottom of the 8th. And then you're just expecting, because if you know anything about how the season has gone at home, you're just expecting the Yankees to come back in the 9th and do something, at least score 1 run. But no, not even 1 hit. 3 outs, and I think a couple of them, if I remember correctly, were pretty lucky. That's right, yeah. LeMahieu goes 101.7 off the bat and hits it 373, so longer than Pilar's home run, ironically. Pilar's home run was 368. LeMahieu hits this one 373, but I don't care. We'll take it. And I think Soto's went relatively deep as well. It was like 330, so not quite. But Miracles exist. The Angels bullpen played well. I don't know how. In hindsight, perfect play call or decision making from Ron Washington. During the game, I won't lie, I think most people would probably agree with me, would have liked to see Hunter Strickland come out and pitch another inning. But hey, this works out even better because now all the arms are fresh and now there's confidence throughout the bullpen. All four of those guys that come out and have 1, 2, 3 innings. And now going to the next game, you got fresh arms and you got confident arms in that bullpen. Who would have thought we'd get that? Shout out to everybody who's in here. Shout out to Oscar once again. Shout out to Daniel. Shout out to Nick. Tuesday W. That's right. I'm going to throw it up one more time. Tuesday W. Great win indeed. And shout out to Oscar as well for the comments. The Angels with a 4-3 win somehow, some way. Ironically, you wait until the best team maybe in all of baseball shows up to the Big A for you to win at home. The Angels 4, the Yankees 3. We're going to take one more quick break. And when we come back, we'll discuss my prize pick slip because ironically, that was the only thing that lost tonight. And we will also grade Ron Washington on Ron's report card, as well as a quick look at Game 2 of the series tomorrow. Shout out to Break Less saying it's always a good time beating the Yankees. Yes, it was. That's one more thing we'll talk about after the break. I mentioned a little bit before about sort of the swagger, cockiness, whatever you want to call it, from the Yankees coming into this one. Not only from the fans, but the players. You know, not only Cortez smiling the entire game, even after giving up a 2-run homer in the first inning, but Juan Soto nodding when Griffin Canning's throwing pitches, saying, "Oh, good pitch, buddy." Don't belittle my team. Don't belittle my Angels, even if they maybe deserve a little bit belittling in 2024. But yes, always a good time beating the Yankees, and hopefully always a good time on the Locked On Angels Postcast. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll finish this one off. Angels 4, Yankees 3. We'll take a quick break. Once again, today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Now, you know, the Angels are now, 54 games into the season. So spring training is very much over, and baseball season is officially well underway. So don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your Prize Picks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Now, if you don't know what Prize Picks is, it's America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members, including myself right here, Gavin Carlson, very much a member of the Prize Picks community. And we'll talk about my slip in a moment. But it is the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. Now, it's also playoff time in the NBA. The Mavs were not able to close out the Western Conference Finals, which means, yay, more basketball. And you can get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. So download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB, all lowercase, for a first deposit match up to $100. One more time, use the code LOCKEDONMLB after you download the Prize Picks app for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, the #1 fantasy sports app in America. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. One more time, miracles exist. Miracles exist. The Angels win at home for the first time in almost 2 weeks and just the 7th time in 26 tries. And of course, they waited to do it against the best team, maybe in all of baseball, in the New York Yankees. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the Yankees and their confidence coming into this one because I don't know about you guys. I don't know about you Angels fans watching this one, the people that are in here. And once again, shout out to all of you that are in here. Shout out to everybody watching after the fact on the Locked On Angels, or Locked On Los Angeles, YouTube channel. But I don't know about you guys, but watching this game, I was kind of annoyed by the amount of cockiness and swagger that the Yankees were showing. Maybe I'm just not used to watching a baseball team that is confident on the field. Maybe I'm used to watching a bunch of young guys that rightfully so are, still getting used to Major League Baseball and aren't the most confident baseball players in the world. But between Nestor Cortez smiling all over the place and between Juan Soto nodding at Griffin Canning, even on swings and misses, just some of the Yankees' arrogance was pissing me off a bit. And it felt really, really good to win this game. I don't think anybody's surprised that there were more Yankees fans than Angels fans throughout most of the stadium. And I'm not going to say that the Angels don't deserve that. They certainly have not been playing well at home. We know how bad ownership has been. We don't need to go on rants about that. And I was getting ready to call the Angels Artie's Angels again after another loss, but they won, so they are not Artie's Angels when they win. They are our Angels when they win. But despite the swagger from the Yankees, Angels able to knock them off, thanks in large part due to a very solid managerial performance from Ron Washington. So it's time for Ron's report card, and I'm not going to waste any time here. I think in terms of in-game adjustments, I'll give him an A-. And the only reason it's not an A+ is because I personally think Hunter Strickland could have been kept in the game a little bit longer. Now, in hindsight, who cares? All four Angels relievers go 1, 2, 3, and maybe in hindsight, that means he deserves an A+, but I'm going to stick true to myself and what I was thinking in the moment. Maybe Hunter Strickland deserved another inning. But not only does he get it right with the bullpen, for the most part, technically fully, despite what I keep saying, but he got it right in terms of pinch hitting. I'll be honest, I'm tired of watching Cole Tucker. No offense to him, but just, it's like, I'd rather watch anybody play baseball than Cole Tucker. No offense to him, bro, but he falls to 205 with the batting average. That's why he's batting at the end of the lineup. I know he's not always in DHing tonight, though. Your DH is batting ninth and hitting 205. Come on now. And so luckily, Tucker gets pinch hit for in the 8th inning. And surprise, surprise, that's when the rally starts. Tucker comes out. Willie Calhoun comes in, and he immediately leads off the bottom of the 8th with a single. Just think about what happens if Cole Tucker leads off the inning with another strikeout or just another routine ground ball like he loves to do. This rally in the 8th probably doesn't happen, and the Angels probably fall to 6-20 at home. But instead, Ron Washington gets it right. He takes out Cole Tucker, and Willie Calhoun leads off the inning with a single. Ends up being he ends up being the game tying run, and then Luis Rengifo ends up being the winning run. I'm seeing now that they went back and ruled it a single again after all that Rengifo hit. Make up your mind, MLB, on whether or not it was a hit or a single. But either way, Ron Washington got it right there. I was a little confused on why he waited until midway through the inning for Calhoun to then be taken off first base for Mickey Moniak as a pinch runner. Maybe it's another reason why it's not an A+ for Ron Washington. Don't know why you're not immediately making that substitution and getting the faster guy there on first base. Maybe it had something to do with trying to save Moniak as a pitch hitter later in the at-bat. Or later in the inning. I don't really know. Not many base runners in this one, so just be grateful that you have a guy on first and immediately go get a quicker runner, in my opinion. But hey, Ron Washington, in terms of in-game adjustments, I'll give him an A-. Pre-game, he gets an NA because you're going to put the starting pitcher out there and the lineup. I don't like seeing Cole Tucker, so maybe it's a B lineup instead of an A lineup. But I like where he's batting Pilar up in the order. I know he wants Adele to get hits, but right now Adele is struggling. I know he wants him to get at-bats, but right now Adele is struggling, so I'm fine with Adele being lower in the lineup. I'm loving that 1-2-3 combo right now. Rengifo and Shanuel continue to be solid up there, even if it wasn't the biggest game from Shanuel in this one, going 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. But Rengifo, they have it back as 3 hits now on the game with that 8th inning hit, they're calling it. And though Taylor Ward just 1 for 4, the one hit, the biggest hit of the game to help the Angels win. So I like the lineup right now. How's it looks? 1 through 4, Pilar batting 4th against lefties. Makes a lot of sense to me. And Ohapi and Adele continue to struggle. Neto just 1 for 3 tonight. The young guys continue to be on and off, but you got to expect that. You got to expect that. 2 more things before we wrap up a celebratory winning Angels postcast. We'll talk about my prize pick slip because in this one, I faded the Angels completely as we get a troll comment to some degree. Angels own the Yankees. Playoffs, here we come. Van Awesome. Yeah, I sure wish. Angels own the Yankees. I don't know if that's technically true either, but they owned them tonight, and we will take that shout out to you. But the Angels, I had the prize pick slip today, and I faded the Angels completely. I had Taylor Ward to strike out in this one because, like I said, coming into the game, 1 of 8 in 9 at-bats with 3 strikeouts against Nestor Cortez, and Taylor Ward indeed struck out in that first inning. Historically speaking, that's true. That's true. I don't know how historic you were going, how far back. But yes, it is true. The Yankees, and maybe that swagger, maybe that confidence coming back to bite them against the Halos. But Taylor Ward strikes out. That part of my slip hits. But then I had Nestor Cortez to go 6 innings, and they surprisingly, and at least in my opinion, surprisingly took him out midway through the 5th. So that doesn't hit. I fall to 1-3 in my prize pick slips, but I could care less. And maybe this is karma for me fading the Angels, because I fade the Angels and they win. Maybe I need to bet on my Angels to do better. I don't know about that, but we'll take it. I don't really care about the prize pick slip, but we will take it. And finally, I want to discuss the upcoming game, because the Angels, of course, will be back at it against the Yankees. And what are we looking for in this one? I think we're just looking for the bullpen to stay hot, honestly. I think the lineup wasn't great. Van Awesome says, keep fading. We need that karma. True. Maybe that's the secret thing. Hey, if my wallet needs to hurt for the Angels to win, I'll take it. Maybe I'll lower the amount I'm wagering each time. But yes, I'll keep fading the Angels maybe, and maybe that'll keep bringing success. But what are we looking for tomorrow? I'd say if the bullpen could stay hot, that'd be great, because we know how dangerous this lineup is, and I don't really trust the starters throughout this series to go 6 innings, 7 innings, anything like that. But if the Angels bullpen could stay hot, and the bullpen should be fresh, because nobody pitched more than 3 at-bats, because a perfect 12 for 12 from the 4 Angels relievers tonight. But if the bullpen could stay hot and you get some timely hitting, that's all you need to try to knock off the Yankees once again. So hopefully we can get that in tomorrow's game. Once again, it'll be a 6:38 to be exact p.m. first pitch. We'll see. There'll probably be just as many Yankees fans. There'll probably be just as many empty seats. Ironically, they said that on the radio broadcast. I was watching it live, of course, on my TV, seeing it. But if you weren't watching, they're like, oh, there's a lot of empty seats today. Yeah, no kidding. Your team was 6-19 coming into the game at home. There's going to be a lot of empty seats, and there would have been a lot more. That 34,000 number would have been 20-something if it weren't for all the Yankees fans. But those Yankee fans will go home disappointed, whether they're bandwagoners or not. They probably are if they're a Yankees fan, but they will go home disappointed, because our Angels pick up a 4-3 win to open up the series against the red hot Yankees. Red hot no more. Angels, miracles exist. The Angels win at home. That'll do it for today's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. One more time, shout out to everybody in here. Daniel said happy Tuesday. Shout out to him. Tuesday W, says Nick King, and absolutely it was a great win. Yes, indeed. Oscar, appreciate that shout out one more time, and I agree. The bullpen was great despite us closing our eyes when Estevez came out. Hey, maybe he'll get some confidence. It's funny, when they brought Strickland out, I will say this, Dan, when they brought Strickland out in the game, I was thinking, man, I was really hoping that Strickland or Luis Garcia even, believe it or not, would be considered for the closing spot. I see Strickland come out, I see Garcia come out, and I'm like, oh man, if there is any sort of magic offensively, we will see Estevez in the 9th. Surely there is magic. Surely Estevez comes out in the 9th, and yet somehow we escape an Estevez outing and pick up the win. Yes, always a good time beating the Yankees. Totally agree with that. Angels own the Yankees, in recent history. And yes, Van Awesome, I will keep fading. You know what? Just because you said that, I promise you that despite going 1-3 on my prize pick slip so far, I will fade the Angels again tomorrow and hope it leads to some more good karma and another victory like we saw tonight. All right, folks, that'll do it. Thanks so much for hanging out. A good number of you in here. Hopefully a good amount of you are able to catch it after the fact. Once again, we'll be live on the Locked On Los Angeles YouTube channel tomorrow, directly after what is hopefully another win. But hey, for the first time since I think the second postcast ever in that Astros game, we got a win, and we got to talk about a win right here. Once again, I'm Gavin Carlson. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. Signing off. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks so much, and Halo hopefuls, we got to win. Let's celebrate. One more comment, Van Awesome. Maybe a prize picks tutorial is warranted. You have no idea what you're doing. Hey, maybe I'll throw it up on the screen there. And I don't want people to think it's just because they're a sponsor of the show. Before the show, was a huge Prize Picks fan. I will continue to be a big Prize Picks fan. But maybe we can do it together. Hey, if you follow me on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at Gavin Carlson _, you can see my Prize Pick slip. I tweet it before every single game, just so you know I'm not lying after the fact. But hey, if you have a Twitter, Van, give me a follow there. You can see my Prize Pick slip and maybe comment yours. Maybe I can give you a tutorial if you're here tomorrow. But hopefully tomorrow, most importantly, we're celebrating another win. In the meantime, Angels 4, Yankees 3. This was the Locked On Angels Postcast. Shout out to you, Van. Shout out to everybody else in here. For now, signing off. We'll see you tomorrow, and so long.